Donald Trump absolutely exploded today on Truth Social, and I gotta say, it is remarkable how much this guy posts, how much time he must waste posting all of this nonsense to social media, even if he's just doing a lot of reposting or it's actually someone else who's typing up the posts. It's like this guy is just wasting so much time. If it was the average person, you would want to have an intervention with them to tell them to deal with their social media addiction. Here is the president of the United States just spending hour after hour posting to Truth Social and stuff that's not even all that important either. Stuff about how, the World Cup was so great, and he posted this video where he edited out the awkward moments of him presenting the World Cup trophy. He tweeted out some endorsement of Mike Pillow, who's running for governor of Minnesota. Of course, that candidacy is going nowhere. And he's also tweeting out policy changes like this troth here. Here is one of the posts from Trump. After meeting with the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, who has done a remarkable job working to transform his country, I am hereby directing my administration to allow U.S. airline carriers to fly directly to Lebanon so that Americans can easily visit this beautiful land. Hopefully other countries will do the same. Enjoy, President Donald J. Trump. So Trump is encouraging Americans to visit Lebanon, but the State Department still has a level 4 do not travel advisory for Lebanon. There's obviously the active conflict going on there at this moment, and the U.S. has had a ban on direct flights for the past 40 years. Trump deciding that now is the right time to reverse that, and obviously Trump can't force U.S. airlines like Delta or United or American to schedule routes, and I'm not sure they're going to be all that willing to do that, especially knowing that the policy may just change again in 2 years when someone else is president. But here's Donald Trump saying that he is doing this thing, and it's very, very important. Next, we have Trump comparing Iran and the casualties that we've seen there thus far to other wars in America's history, basically saying that this one isn't as bad as the other ones. Afghanistan war, 20 years, 2,000 dead. Iraq war, 9 years, 4,600 dead. Vietnam war, 19 years and 5 months, 58,220 dead. Korean war, 3 years and 1 month, 36,574 dead. Venezuela war, 1 day, 0 dead. And the Iran military conflict, 4 months, 18 dead. Mind you, when he says dead, he's only talking about American service members. He's not talking about the civilians who are losing their lives over in Iran. So, of course, these were very different types of wars. You have a lot of examples on this list being ground invasions and peer-to-peer combat type warfare, whereas you have targeted strikes and drone warfare in this scenario. But also the argument that this Iran war is just a few months old, therefore you can't criticize it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because at one point those other wars also were just a few months old, and obviously they went on for way too long and they became quagmires that we couldn't so easily get ourselves out of. Next up, there's this story about New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani wanting to see Benjamin Netanyahu detained if he decides to go to New York to speak at the UN, because the ICC has issued an arrest warrant against him. Now, it's a very legally dubious thing because under US law, the mayor of New York City doesn't have the authority to carry out such an arrest, and in fact, federal law prohibits local enforcement from cooperating with the International Criminal Court. However, Netanyahu is really not the guy that you want to go to bat for, and Trump is willing to defend him in this Truth Social post, saying that no, he doesn't belong in prison. Here is Trump saying that, even though he tricked me into this war in Iran, even though he fooled me into going into this thing that I'm having a very difficult time dealing with politically and otherwise, I'm still going to back up Netanyahu and say that he's not going to get arrested if he decides to go to New York to speak at the UN. So this is the Truth Social post. Donald Trump saying Benjamin Netanyahu will not be arrested in any way, shape, or form while in the United States of America. He is fighting against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which recently killed 52,000 innocent protesters and has spent the last 47 years killing American soldiers and others. The only ones that should be arrested are the people that led Iran into this unprecedented spiral of death and destruction, and something that should have been dealt with years ago by previous presidents, President Donald J. Trump. Next up, we have some fear-mongering from Trump about rich people leaving blue cities, as if that's supposed to have us shaking in our boots. This idea that, oh no, what if all the rich people leave and then what? I don't know, housing will become more affordable. Here is Donald Trump saying that it's going to be a big disaster for the blue cities once all the rich people leave, because then you're just going to be left with the ghettos. He says rich people and companies are pouring out of Democrat-run blue states at levels never seen before. If this trend continues, these states will become the, quote, ghettos of the future. No people, no money, no hope. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump. So, of course, this is Donald Trump's way of being racist, not so subtly. It's him saying that once all the business leaders leave, well, then you're just going to be left with a bunch of ghettos, which is Donald Trump's way of saying black and brown people, essentially. Finally, we have this final Truth Social post from Trump here, and he actually manages to get something right, which is to troth out something positive about making daylight saving time permanent. Trump said in the Truth Social post why permanent daylight saving time might be better for your health, linking to this New York Post article. And yes, I gotta say it, it's very rare, but I do agree with Donald Trump on this one. We should make daylight saving time permanent. There are so many benefits to it, and certainly I think the benefits outweigh the downsides to it. We want to make it so that during the winter months, it's lighter out later into the day. I don't need it to be light out when it's like 6 a.m. and I'm not even up yet. I need it to be light out when it's like 6 in the afternoon. I don't like when it gets dark at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. So we want to make daylight saving time permanent, and Trump is in support of that. That's a good thing. The House passed legislation to do so. The Senate is still sitting on its hands, but maybe they'll get around to it. We'll see, and then Trump can sign it into law. A rare moment of me agreeing with something that Trump is pushing for on Truth Social. All right, let's go to a break, but we have plenty more of the David Pakman Show coming up after this. I'm Pat Ford, filling in for David today.
Shopping for a mattress is one of those things that most people put off. Once you finally decide we're going to do it, you just start guessing, which is why our sponsor, Helix Sleep, is such a great way to go. I've been sleeping on a Helix mattress for years at this point. You go to the Helix website, you take a short little sleep quiz, answer a few questions about your body. How do you sleep? What kind of feel do you like? What are you looking for? And they will match you with a model that is built around your preferences. And that's it. It just simplifies mattress shopping. The thing I most like about my Helix mattress is that the whole process was very straightforward. I just answered a few questions. They matched me with a mattress that is what I wanted. And I've had it for years. It's in perfect condition. I'm far from needing to replace it. Go to helixsleep.com/Pakman for 27% off site-wide, a discount they are only offering to my audience. The link is in the description.